We have a cold heart. You can cry and stuff, like the rest of them, but it doesn't do any good. Imagine those words being whispered to you while you are chained in a dark, concrete box. This was the voice of Charles Ng, and for dozens of victims, it was the last thing they heard. This is the story of a partnership made in hell, a secret dungeon, and a house of horrors that was only uncovered because of a simple $75 shoplifting mistake. June 2nd, 1985. Police in South San Francisco are called to a hardware store. A man had stolen a power vise and fled. Suddenly, another man arrives, trying to return the stolen tool. But the owner knows this isn't the thief. Police approach a Honda Prelude nearby. The driver hands over an ID for Robin Scott Staples, but the photo doesn't match his face. In the trunk, officers find a vise and a .22 caliber pistol with an illegal silencer. The man was Leonard Thomas Lake. The car belonged to Paul missing since 1984. The plates belonged to Lonnie Bond, another missing man. Under arrest, Lake asks for water and a pencil. Left alone, he writes a note to his ex-wife and swallows a cyanide capsule hidden in his jacket. He dies 4 days later, taking his secrets to the grave. Or so he thought. Investigators were left with one question. Why would a man choose to die over a shoplifting charge? The investigation leads to a remote cabin in Wilsonville, owned by Lake's ex-wife, Clara Lynn. Cricaballas, behind a hidden door in a bunker, they find a nightmare. A tiny, windowless cell with a single mattress and a bucket. This was the Masmorra, a dungeon. On the walls, a list of rules for the slaves to follow. Outside, a graveyard. They unearth 18 kilograms of charred human bones. At least 11 bodies, but the evidence suggested many more. Who were the victims? Among the remains were Harvey and Deborah Dubs, and their 2-year-old son, Sean. They were a normal family from San Francisco. In July 1984, they simply vanished from their apartment. Lake and Ng didn't just kill them, they recorded the process. The men and the child were executed immediately, but Deborah was kept alive in the bunker, subjected to days of unimaginable abuse before she was finally discarded like trash. Then there were the neighbors, Lonnie Bond and Brenda O'Connor, and their infant son. Lonnie Jr., they lived near the cabin and thought Lake was just a strange neighbor. They were wrong. Lake and Ng lured them in, killed Lonnie and the baby, and kept Brenda captive. The tapes showed her pleading for her child's life, while Ng mocked her. Other victims included Forey. The betrayal started even closer to home. Before Charles Ng arrived, Lake had already begun his killing spree. He lured his own brother, Donald Lake, to the cabin in 1983 and shot him while he slept. He also murdered his friend and best man, Charles Gunnar. He didn't just take their lives, he took their identities and their money to fund his survivalist bunker. To Leonard Lake, people were nothing more than resources to be used and disposed of. Leonard Lake was a former Marine who served in Vietnam, diagnosed with schizoid personality disorder after a delusional breakdown. He became obsessed with nuclear war and Operation Miranda, a plan to build a bunker and keep female slaves to repopulate the earth. His ex-wife, Clara Lynn, was fully submissive to these fantasies. She appeared in his films and knew what was happening in that cabin. Yet she remained silent as the bodies piled up. Charles Ng was the perfect partner for Lake's depravity. The son of a wealthy Hong Kong executive, Ng was a troubled loner who was severely abused by his father. Expelled from schools in England and the US, he joined the Marines to escape the law, but was dishonorably discharged for theft. When he met Lake through a magazine ad, their dark desires clicked. Ng provided the physical violence and the sadistic entertainment that Lake craved for his films. After Lake's suicide, Ng fled to Canada. He lived in a shack in Calgary until his impulse to steal caught up with him again. He was caught shoplifting a can of salmon and shot a security guard in the hand while resisting. This mistake led to his capture in a long legal battle for extradition. In 1999, he was finally sentenced to death. The judge stated that Ng was a willing participant who enjoyed the suffering of his victims. Today, Charles Ng remains on death row at San Quentin State Prison. Clareline Ballas, despite her deep involvement, received immunity for her cooperation and walked free. Many believe she is just as guilty as the men who pulled the trigger. The Wilsonville murders remain a dark stain on American history, a reminder that sometimes the greatest evil lives right next door. What do you think? Was justice truly served for these families? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Should Clareline have faced life in prison? And what do you think happened to the other victims on that list of 21 women? Thanks for watching this deep dive into America's darkest mysteries. If you want more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to Made in America True Crime. Stay safe and stay vigilant. Thank you so much for listening. If you found this case as chilling as I did, please leave a like and subscribe to Made in America True Crime so you don't miss our next investigation. And remember, stay alert and be careful, because psychopaths are out there and they are hiding in plain sight.